And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to The Turning Point from ITN Sri Lanka. The Turning Point is a Monday to Friday, 5 days a week discussion program on economy, on policies, and on the general effect on you, the people of Sri Lanka. And every week, every day, Monday to Friday, we have experts in their chosen field who can answer your questions, who can explain this economic theories and so on, and how it will affect you, the people. Let's take a look, shall we, on as to who our guest is this evening. And yes, indeed, our guest this evening is the former chairman of the Bank of Ceylon, former chairman of the National Gem and Jewellery Authority, a senior banker, and a very vociferous and outspoken person on various matters, especially when it concerns economy, none other than Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon. Very good evening to you, Rusiri.
Good evening, Faras.
Thank you very much for being on the Turning Point for ITN Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much for inviting me, because I got the chance of meeting you after some time on TV.
Indeed. It's good to be back, I must say. Thank you again to everyone at ITN. Mr. Smith, before I get to this business about let's abandon bankrupt economic policies, I just thought I'll ask you, what's your perspective on the last 2 years?
Well, last 2 years, of course, passed by with a lot of ups and downs in the economy and the country, and even in our personal lives. You see, we were thoroughly engaged in various matters. Of course, I had to play. I got the opportunity of playing a couple of good roles, because I was given a chance by the Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Tennekoon, when he was the Minister of Education, to be virtually doing something good in the higher education department.
Good, good. I read an article written by you. I know you are a prolific writer. And in there, Mr. Rusiripala, you say that our country is, the Treasury declared ourselves to be bankrupt in the sense that Sri Lanka can't pay, or couldn't at the time, pay its foreign debt. It couldn't service the foreign loans and so on. So there was this financial bankruptcy as far as the international part is concerned. But your article actually says that we were not only that bankrupt, but we were bankrupt of sound economic policies. Can you explain that? It looks to be so, but I think I'd like to ask you to explain that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the circumstances we went through, we ran through during the first short period, is the best example, answer to that question. If we did have any sort of sound economic policies and economic thinking, we couldn't have fallen into that mess. Because that was partly due to poverty of economic outlook. That's how I sort of was trying to put it up in how I presented it in my article.
Yeah.
So this is something that most of the economists have been addressing, not only here, the world over, because they found that countries on their own were not able to carry on or discharge their duties, particularly in the economic field, socio-economic field, without some kind of inputs being given to them from outside. So the World Bank was involved in it, the higher political authorities were involved in it, and then there was very much focus on that aspect. And it led to this sustainable development goals, establishment of sustainable development goals for the entire world. So all the countries that participated in that discussion, that was a very open forum. They agreed to abide by certain guidelines that was given, laid down, and to achieve certain targets set in that program as goals, targeted goals.
So you believe that that's the way forward, to adapt to your economic policies so that it suits the current circumstances and the future plans.
Yeah, for us, my answer to the previous question was that that most of the politicians and the leaders whom we have are not experts in economics. They have to be guided, and only thing, if they can't be guided if they are not ready to adapt where they are pushed into.
Indeed.
So the adaptability is one of the most important factors in moving a country forward, in getting out of messes that you have fallen into.
So our leaders should have the ability to listen to what their chosen experts are telling them.
Yes, mostly, not only a question of listening, they must be alert to the international situations, the developments elsewhere, and what is taking shape in other places.
We see in in this government, since our troubles 2 years ago, we see a sort of plan taking shape. We have a lot of people are fond of telling us, "Polim na gas tino, apita kala bila inna puluang." Okay, so a lot of people say that. So that must come through some sort of plan.
Yeah.
But the way forward also, they seem to have the adaptability in these plans. Are you personally happy with that? How about this new act that's coming?
Exactly, for us. Before coming into that, I must say that the country is now experiencing the palliative treatment that was given to us during the crisis.
Yeah.
It was the worst economic crisis that we faced after many, many decades in this country.
And at the same time, Mr. Rusiripala, our friends, our brothers from the neighboring superpower India, they actually gave us something like $3.5 billion. They must have done that after having looked at it and thought, well, these chaps are struggling, but they seem to have a plan. Is that why do you think they gave the money?
I think they were very much alert to the situation. They were very watchful of the difficulties that we were undergoing on the one hand. And the other thing is, India has been treating us like a brother,
Yes.
That's the difference between a friend and a brother. We have so many other countries and big nations which are ready to also assist us. But, this brotherly affection and the attachment is very much more when you consider India as a neighbor.
Thank you very much. On that note, we'll take a short break and return to the turning point for ITN Sri Lanka with Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon. See you on the other side of the break, shall we? And welcome back to the turning point for ITN Sri Lanka. My guest today is the former chairman of the Bank of Ceylon, former chairman, National Gem and Jewellery Authority, Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon. Mr. Rusiripala, thank you for telling us about that, but tell us more. Tell us more about good economic plans.
Yeah. So we are now emerging out of that worst situation due to this palliative treatment that has been given. But people and we all must understand that these are all temporary makeshift arrangements that we have, that has brought in so much of comfort to us at the moment. A long way to go through with the proper sound plan. Because
in the position we're in now, we can't be here for too long.
Exactly. This is just a watershed, I should say, for us to think in which direction we should move forward from here onwards.
Yes.
So that is why it is necessary for the leaders of the country to be very open, adaptable, to be alert to the situations, developments in the world, the global scenario, all that becomes very important.
So from what I can understand from what you're saying is that this is not a sort of fix that can be done in a day or two or in a month. So when our president says that Sri Lanka will be in a far better place by 2048, that's obviously 24 years away. But do you agree that that's the kind of long-term strategy we need?
I don't think he's just saying that. He is very meaningfully and saying that with facts, because he has presented a plan which I should see as a milestone in our forward movement in this country, particularly after the crisis period that we just stepped out. You know, with a solid plan, with targets fixed, and with the entire legislature brought in and coupled into a motion of, you know, a fast driving motion, which with fixed targets to achieve, not mere, you know, promises and then indications of, light at the end of the tunnel or something like that, you know. With specific targets fixed, we are now, this country is now getting into the track of moving forward in the economic field to get out of the mess for good.
So that does this show adaptability?
Definitely, definitely. Because why I say this is, repeatedly I would like to emphasize on that, because most economists and critics, when they talk about the economy, they forget about the rest of the world. They forget about what the others have addressed in this regard already and what is in place. So therefore, in that perspective, I think the current, our president and the leadership that he is giving is very meaningful, I should say. So, it's exactly falling in line with the world trends.
So what you're saying is that no country really can carry forward alone. They need to be part of the wider global community.
Exactly, exactly, Faraz. Because none of these things, you know, these aspirations for moving forward and to bring about solace to the people, you see, it's nothing new. It's already there in our constitution. The section 27 of our constitution, which talks about the directive principle of the state. It incorporates so many things that the country has to do and the country must do. But despite which, you know, we have not been paying proper attention to that, you know, with fixed, solid plans to achieve those. This is one step. What we are experiencing now is really a movement towards that direction.
So when I was interviewed a few days ago on ITN, on on this program, it's called Beyond the Newspapers, I suggested that if you are a true son of the soil or a daughter of the soil, if you are patriotic, then you must participate in our progress by paying taxes. If you're due to pay taxes, you must pay taxes. Is that part of a good thing, to pay taxes when it's due?
You see, I would actually like to quote what the IMF said in 2024 after releasing a couple of tranches to our, you know, assistance that they came forward with. You see, there they very clearly state that those affluent and those who can afford should contribute for the betterment of those who cannot, you know, survive. I mean, I don't know whether people will acknowledge that a body like IMF with so much of criticisms against them would say a thing like that.
Indeed.
But it is a fact. They have categorically stated, well, taxes will have to be paid by those who can afford, particularly during difficult times, although it causes a little more hardship to them, they have to do that.
I'm no authority on Buddhism or religion, but I know that you have an abiding interest in religion.
Yeah.
And surely, isn't that what Buddhism also says? That if you're better off, you need to look after the others.
Of course, yes.
And we are a Buddhist country.
Of course, yes. That's a must. That is where
Can you say that bit in Sinhalese, that this business in...
Yeah. මම හිතන්නේ දැන් හැකියාව තියෙන තමුන්ට අනිත් අයට වඩා යම්කිසි ආර්ථික වශයෙන් පොඩි සැනසීමක් තියෙන කොටස් සමාජයේ එහෙම නැති කොටස් වලට අත දික් කිරීම සඳහා පරිත්‍යාගශීලීව කටයුතු කළ යුතු වෙනවා ඇතම් කාලවල වලදී ටිකක් වැඩියෙන්. අපි මේ පසු කළේ ඒ වගේ කාලයක්. ඒක අපිට අමතක කරන්න බෑ. මොකද අපි ඒකෙදි එකිනෙකා තරංගකාරී ලෙස හිතන්න ගත්තොත් අයි අපි මෙහෙම කරන්නේ එහෙම කීතුවොත් රට කවදාකවත් එළියට යන්නේ නැහැ.
Thank you, Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon. By the way, if you want to send us messages, you can. It's the number by SMS or WhatsApp is 0772 300 305. Number on the screen. But we'll go for a break and come back and rejoin on the turning point for ITN Sri Lanka, Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon. And welcome back to the turning point with Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon. I'd like to read something out to you.
Yeah.
Everyone will have to pitch in for all to enjoy the fruits of these efforts. Those who are better off will need to contribute more so the government can provide essential services and help those most in need. Isn't that what you've been just saying, Mr.
Exactly, exactly. This is what the IMF emphasized that we should target for and what we should commit now, right now. Because their assistance, some people think that it is an assistance that was granted for us to alleviate our difficulties and get out of trouble. It's not that. It's a far-fetched thing than that. They have set in motion a program which the governments or anybody in power will have to adopt to carry forward for the sake of the future of the country.
So whichever leader comes in, whichever party that comes in, we need to continue with this plan.
Yeah, unless you want to fall into that same mess again.
And end up like Bangladesh did a few days ago?
Exactly, exactly.
So that's simply a chance that the people won't really want to take.
Yeah, people must be mindful of that situation. People must know that one example is the economic transformation bill, and I'm happy for us, that went through the parliament without any controversy and no voting also. The financial management bill and the economic transformation bill. What is that bill? That bill incorporates what is there, what has been there in the constitution for decades without being properly addressed as the directive principle of the state. The state has to do certain things which is compulsory and responsibility upon them, which has not been addressed so far, but it has now been incorporated into an act, a bill that was passed.
So it's passed.
Yes.
It's in law now.
But yeah, it's a progressive affair. It's not an overnight affair. If people think that the bill is passed, therefore the economy will be all right, it's not like that.
Not at all.
It only sets the path how to achieve those targets. So therefore, I think we are really in a transformative stage unless, some changes take place in the other direction. But we have to, as a country, we have to keep pace with the rest of the countries in the world, keep pace with the declared economic policies adopted by the other countries, by the world bodies in the country. Like, for example, I started by saying about these sustainable development goals,
yes,
which was set many years ago. But nobody took any notice of it and the importance of, falling in line with it. But it gives a completely guided program giving about 17 specific items, lines that we should follow, any country should follow, should fall in line. Today, for us, no country can live in isolation. Tell me one economic development that you can implement in the country without thinking of the international situation. Some people are talking about domestic economies.
Yeah.
I don't know whether there is any truth or any meaning in that statement. How can they have a domestic economy?
Yes, because everything involves some other country.
You think of agriculture. Some people keep telling, oh, agriculture you can do inside. Yes, agriculture. Where is the fertilizer coming from? Where are the machinery coming from? Where do you sell your excess to?
Yeah.
And if there is a shortage, where do you get it from? So these are all, we are living in an interconnected world today. So if our leadership and our political thinking is not directed in that way, there is no way out, no way forward.
And even now with Elon Musk's Starlink program being given permission here a few days ago in Sri Lanka, this will now bring connectivity to the furthest reaches of our country, where we may now not have coverage or not enough coverage. So developments like that are essential, and it is another country, another foreign company playing a role in our country, because we're bringing the world closer together.
Yeah. We are, unfortunately, all don't seem to think in that same direction. They seem to think, oh, why give a foreigner to do this? Why get foreigners involved in this? Can you do that domestically? What they are apt to do, what they have got used to, what they are practicing elsewhere, can anyone overnight here domestically think of that and bring about that change? You can't. Therefore, it is a must that we think openly. We live with open arms. And we think as partners of progress with the rest of the world.
Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon, fine sentiment. Thank you very much for being on The Turning Point. I hope what you've said will be the turning point for our country too.
Thank you very much, Faraz.
It's a great pleasure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And that's the way it was on The Turning Point. If you want to send us questions, you may do 0772 300 305, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And we'll be back with another guest, equally exciting and as expert as Mr. Rusiripala Tennekoon.